Mario's the king of platforming, and that's why I wonder.
Yeah, about that. Last time I checked, Little Big Planet was the king of platforming.
Immediately afterwards, the background audio performs oral fornication on your eardrums without explicit permission, which by definition grounds for criminal charges against me for doing that. So for legal and emotional reasons, I will not play the rest of it. This biohazard came from Trackmania Studios, my first channel that ironically had nothing to do with Trackmania. I wanted to talk about that before this popped up. Zip Zap was created by accident thanks to a glitch. It turned out that confirm form resubmission meant now I have 4 YouTube channels with no reason to use them. I did nothing but made shit posts until I heard about a registered sex offender prowling on DeviantArt. That night, one of the voices in my head, which resembled a bald, skinny black person that worked at Blockbuster, whispered in my sleep, "It's time for Sonic Brain Fart." Only that I wasn't Sonic, I was mostly Brain Fart. Thus, Zip Zap was born. The video was recorded with a Radio Shack microphone processed through Florida Studio with compression up the ass, resulting in a constant hiss that I tried to isolate through a noise gate as I read off from a journal by a user with a Chinese name I couldn't pronounce. The only parts I added myself were comments that sounded like something a nasally voiced CSGO surf player with a Wind Waker profile picture would say because he peaked at that time. The video was fucking garbage by all accounts of video production, but the meaning of it sent my subscriber count from less than 1,000 to 8 times as much as of today. This happened 10 years ago, before AI was even a thought in our minds. Back then I was 15, now I'm 35. I remembered where I was, what I felt, and what pushed me to make that video happen. Without that, I could have never made the Zero Phoenix experience, now slowly approaching 1 million views thanks to Poland. Dziękuję. Generative artificial intelligence will never have a story like that. It just does what it was programmed to do, designed to identify patterns in human data and replicate them as closely as possible on its own, which is why we're looking at FATMIAA, or FATMIAA as it is actually spelled. I called up Jasmine Robotonic to suffer through this 22-minute fuck fest with me because it used some of my footage from the original video. All 1 minute of it.
We're having a...
Oh! There it is! There it is, that's me!
Another DeviantArt user, Jasmine.
Oh!
My DeviantArt, that's my YouTube, you duts! You clanker!
I stumbled on this channel through YouTube's recommendations. The first video I saw was Art Community's Biggest Hypocrites, featuring Judy Draws and Yumi Cactus. I only knew about these two because they were already talked about by numerous other channels 6 months ago. Every point was already made clear that Junie and Yumi were commentators with taboo fetishes, but used their platform to shame users with said fetishes while encouraging a self-harming patient to relapse under the guise of therapy. Nothing new came out of it since everybody moved on. At the end of the day, everybody involved were minors that should not be on the internet and likely require better parents. There, I just summed up a 25-minute video in 30 seconds. The art commentaries scene has had a problem with beating dead horses and pretending that they're making documentaries. This was no different, but I don't have much room to talk since I covered a subject a year and a half after it happened. In my defense, Zero Phoenix only had a few videos at the time. One was over an hour long, and the rest either only covered predatory behavior or were not in English. A summary of her career was needed, and I used the opportunity to bring light to overlooked social issues, specifically in the Sonic fandom. As far as I know, no other video did this. FATMIAA doesn't have this excuse. It came, it saw, and it made a video 6 months late without anything new to the table, performing necromancy on 2 high schoolers because it was easy. The only way it could possibly stand out is with its flashier editing.
You find out they have been doing the exact same thing the entire time?
What? What happened?
Video
I have no idea.
My audio just went out.
entire time.
Wait, no, that wasn't me. That's how the video was rendered.
FATMIAA's videos look nice on the surface, each one starting strong but getting weaker over time. Reminds me of your mom that one night. Its videos were produced in a style that I like to call Britcore. Emphasis on Brit because literally every fucking crumpet does this.
Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to The Right Opinion, the home of a twat with too much free time.
Hatsumi Ryu was once one of the most popular gacha animators on YouTube.
With millions of views on hugely influential creators' videos.
Imagine the data you've shared and all the...
We'll be discussing several of Roblox's most notorious exposed creators.
And what's unique about this case, however, is that all of the attention somehow fell on the creators who tried to defend the said predator.
They decided it wasn't enough, and so invaded Germany again, took back America, and killed Australia's oil supply. All that editing wasted on people with crippling ADHD just putting it in the background. Yes, even I did this shit. Anyway, the editing looks quite polished, but only for the intro, after which it starts to fall apart.
Notice how polished the production quality looks.
Spent over a year.
Yeah,
police of the
they show like these characters, right? Like the subjects of the video, with these smooth transitions. But then after that, it just shows this this rounded screen for the rest of the video. And I think the Zero Phoenix video started off the same exact way. Yeah. Also, what is this? Why is there a Sonic voice? Yeah, so same exact style. Same thing going on here. I think every single video he does starts off like this. Yeah, look at this.
For the rest of each video, every single one, it's cropped B-roll footage behind a blurry background. And the footage doesn't make sense, seemingly changing automatically based on the spoken topic, but it's not quite relevant to it. For example, it talks about Zero Phoenix's history on DeviantArt, but for the most part, it doesn't show her DeviantArt profile or any art pieces she uploaded there. Instead, it shows outdated DeviantArt layouts.
Nothing to do with Zero Phoenix. Another irrelevant screenshot. It's showing a screenshot that hasn't happened yet in the story.
That hasn't happened yet. Like
Art made by other people not related in the slightest.
Why? Why would they put this in the video? Like, oh my... There's no reason why. There's no reason why. You want to know why? Because it's AI. It can't reason. Okay. Is this somebody else's video?
I think so.
What is this watermark here? Like this seems like this is somebody else's video.
Behavior or take accountability for that.
Jesus Christ.
We need a flashing lights warning for this.
And Wonder Bread guy?
Yeah, it shows this. It shows this. Hello?
The Wonder Bread!
I remember now, like, this is the Wonder Bread guy. Why are they showing this?
It recycles the same footage throughout the video, and there are even multiple instances of clips showing random websites.
And this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about before. Active vintage websites. This is a great frame to pause on.
Besides that, the evidence it shows regarding Zero Phoenix come few and far between, and the editing is so poor that every image it shows features the Grok watermark.
Oh, there's a Grok logo right there.
He said he likes...
Oh yeah, I see it. Oh, hey Grok, how you doing?
Of art is a very frowned upon thing to do, but
there he is again.
Or interest in gaining more followers and
he's next to Elon.
Draw and post it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's EION. This is why you don't use AI to upscale your shit.
It used AI upscaling when it didn't need to. The images were already clear enough, and it hurts credibility because you don't know how else they were edited. AI users aren't exactly the most trustworthy. You may notice that some videos have a different voice. It is not a human being if it isn't obvious enough. Multiple cases of mispronouncing words,
and a fairly common color palette somehow. After realizing
it really is.
Somehow?
That's shaking my head.
But I must
yelling typos out loud.
It might be the way you colored or the color palette in general.
Or the color palette in general. There's only one or here.
Or.
And then reading censored words as they actually appear. For example, instead of saying sexual, FATMIAA says
talking about very XUL things. Not long after
What?
I started
XUL?
poking around
What?
at the beginning of
What?
Is that a standard word for sexual?
and even engage in virtual XUL interaction.
There it is again.
Her response was to suicide bait by threatening to unalive herself with a knife, even sending a picture of it in the chat.
Stop saying that.
That last clip? Unalive? Really? Everybody, please say it with me now. Just say kill. Just say kill. I cannot take seriously any video that uses TikTok Latin and delicate subject matters, and nobody else should either. This is more of an issue with the broader commentary community, but this is a myth. YouTube does not restrict videos that mention these words, and anybody saying otherwise is fucking lying. After a closer look, I realized that FATMIAA was doing this for a month. It made 4 videos before this that told the audience what they already knew without actual commentary. This is the only type of content that the channel focuses on, and it's only been making content since April. There is no video history despite its age. FATMIAA was created in 2009, but didn't start producing videos until 2026. Radio silence old enough to watch Hot Wheels Acceleracers. Even younger channels have a paper trail. In 2020, Cat and Chat streamed video games before covering art community issues. In 2021, Duchess Celestia made speed paints before the same thing. In 2023, Judge actually made videos before her channel got demonetized, and I made ear rape before not making anything at all. Of course, there is a gap between creating an account and creating content. Zip Zap was created in 2014, but I didn't make my first video for another year.
I don't wanna be a friend of Christian Weston Chandler.
1 year versus 17 years. Either the guy finally remembered his password, they wiped their video history clean, or the entire channel was bought to appear more authentic. What raised even further suspicion was the pace of FATMIAA's uploads for how long they are. As of recording, FATMIAA made 7 videos over the past 2 weeks, with running times ranging from 19 minutes all the way up to an hour. Producing videos this long, this fast, is physically impossible, even with a team backed up with paychecks and schedules. The only exceptions include some of YouTube's largest channels that do this for a living, and little 4,000 subscriber FATMIAA isn't one of them. The Zero Phoenix experience, not counting the delays, took me about 3 months. That included writing, organizing evidence, doing research, and finding sources. The tribute segment took me the longest to make, as I not only had to source 131 unique drawings synced to music, but working with Magix was like talking to a Glitch Productions fan. It violently disagreed with every idea I had and almost obliterated my passion to add more gigabytes to YouTube servers. But that is just the experience. The process of content creation, resisting the urge to eat a bullet sundae because of a runtime error. The AI futurist might find this absurd, but to a content creator, this is unspoken art that grants the bragging rights to say, I did this. While watching FATMIAA's video on Zero Phoenix, we were surprised that the information it gave us did line up for the most part. There were a few discrepancies, but only because so much time passed since the events that we don't remember it well. So despite the nature of the channel, the video was 80 to 90% accurate. So what's the big deal? The question is this really the content that we want to consume? This is no better than fast food. This is the shit you put in the background to keep the recurring intrusive thoughts in your head at bay. The ultimate reason behind this video is because this is an art community, and AI is the antithesis of art. Using that to produce low quality, high speed information betrays the whole point of art commentary. But at the same time, regardless of your views on AI, this is so much more than that. AI reflects the current state of human content because it's derived from human content. That reveals a problem with human YouTube commentary. The same old thumbnails, title format, editing style, music choices. We've been eating up with this mundane bullshit for years without even knowing. So what can we do to change it? For starters, be more creative. Stop letting AI follow you. Invent a new style that it possibly couldn't have thought of. I can't tell you how, that's a very personal experience you have to figure out yourself. We belong to a species that was built on imagination. So let's use that knowledge and finally stand out.
Zip zap.
Hi, Zip Zap of the future here. I finally figured out how to fix my OBS recording settings. Now you can actually see. Wow, that's a nice humanly banner. I wondered if this channel was talking about notorious online artists or making child-friendly K-pop demon hunters fetish animations. Now I know it's the latter. Maybe I could get more subscribers if I borrowed it. Wait, how big is it supposed to be? Maybe this works. What do you mean? Wait, okay, I figured it out. It's 576 pixels for the width, not 575. No, that's way too big. Oh no, this is way too small. This ought to do it. Okay, guys, say goodbye to Tez. This is a new era. I'm going to be AI. This is awesome.